We all have things we want to work on. In order to improve in general, but also in our crafts, we kind of need to look back and see what we didn't like in order to know where we want to go going forward. So these are some of my Cricut craft resolutions for 2023. My name is Kelly, and let's get clacking. Now, the first one is something that I see lots of people doing, but it's something that I do myself all the time. I say, it's not perfect, but if you're crafting for yourself, it doesn't have to be perfect. I craft myself all the time, and I make things for friends and family, and it doesn't have to be perfect. If you're making it for a paying client, it may not need to be perfect, but it needs to be as close to perfect as you can get it. At the end of the day, it is still a handmade item, so it's not always something that you want to spend 12 hours on perfecting, but you should be at a certain level when you are selling it to somebody. And now this is going to go on to a whole different tangent, but if you are selling things to somebody, you should have spent hours and hours and hours trying to perfect your craft and getting it as good as you possibly can, because somebody's paying their hard-earned money for that thing. So you want to make sure that it is pretty much perfect. But when it comes to me and my personal little crafts, saying it's not perfect is just saying it's not the best. And I want to stop that this year. Now, the next one is to use vinyl supplies that I already have. As you can see in my background and from many of my videos, I have a lot of vinyl. Being in the position and in the job that I'm in, I do end up getting a lot of vinyl and I don't end up using all of it. And I tend to buy more quite often, I'm not going to lie. But when it comes to vinyl, vinyl does have a shelf life. So it is something that you can't just keep on to forever. You can't hoard it forever. You will need to use it. So buy only what you need and try and use it up as quickly as you can. Yes, 10 meters might be on special, but if you're only going to use 1 meter and then end up throwing 9 meters away, how much did you actually save? So for me, that's something that I want to try this year. Maybe even de-stash some of it and sell some of the vinyl that I've bought, or give away some of the vinyl that I have been given, pay it forward, and try and make sure that my environmental footprint is as small as possible. Number 3, if you're part of any of the Cricut groups on Facebook, the official groups, you'll know that they have a very strong push on Cricut Design Space and the Design Space profiles and sharing things and things like that. I really, really love it when people share their projects on Cricut Design Space, and I like following people and looking at their projects, but I also really love it when people like the projects that I've shared, especially when it comes to making a project for a video. When when you go in there and then you see 38 likes on it, I know it's, typical social media type thing, but if you see 38 likes on a project that you've spent hours on, or 40 likes, or just however many, the number is largely irrelevant, but if you see people enjoying every single one that I get, I'm happy for, because it means that somebody has found something useful. And then if you click on the project, you can also see how many times somebody has saved that. And very often people save a project, but they don't like it. So the saves are much higher than the likes. And I really enjoy knowing that people are enjoying the projects that I make and enjoying the projects that I share. So if you want to follow me on Cricut Design Space, I will leave a link down in the description of this video. For number 4, there are so many different types of crafts that we have. And I'm kind of somebody, I like to dabble in pretty much everything. I like to have inks and paper and foil and vinyl and cardstock and a printer and so many different things, just because there are so many different avenues that you can go to when you're a crafter. But when it comes to things like that, I tend to, and now this is also going to relate to another point that I've got, I want to be able to focus on 1 or 2 of these crafts, and I have a couple of goals and things that I want to achieve and things that I want to get better at, and I want to do more that aligns with my goals. Like, I want to be a better paper crafter. I want to have my paper crafts that are perfectly aligned. So the only way for me to get better at being paper crafter and having better 3D projects is to actually work on my 3D projects. But if I'm constantly working on something else, then that goal will never be realized because I'm not actively working on it. So even if it's just one 3D project a month extra that I'm doing now or something like that, then it is going to be worth it, because then I will be able to give you guys better videos, and that will just win-win for all of us. Now, this particular goal is not only for this video, it's also for my YouTube career, and I'm not going to get into that too much. I did get into it into a members only video that I released, so if you want to see more of that and see more exclusive content, then consider joining the channel. It helps to support the channel. I do members only lives, and I do little video updates and unboxings and things like that in the members only as well. So you can click the join button down below. Goal number 5 that I have is to use more scrap materials. I know that scraps are things that we all save, and we all have lots of scraps. I've got heaps and heaps of scraps, and I try and save as much material as I can, but then every time I need to make something small, I always take a full sheet of cardstock. So instead of reaching for that full sheet of cardstock, I want to reach for my scrap pile. And that kind of feeds into 5.2, which is sort out my scraps a little better. I got a little bit better at this last year, where I sorted out my paper into different folders, one for each color. There's a red one, a purple one, a blue one, a green one, etc. So it is a lot easier for me to find scraps now, but I do want to kind of take that one step further, and this is completely, optional, and to have my lighter cardstocks at the top of the pile and the darker cardstocks then at the bottom, so that I can sift for exactly the page that I'm looking for. If you're not as type A as me, that's fine. Just sorting them by color is a huge help. Now, number 6 is something that I think that we can all be a little bit better at, and that's to do our homework a little bit better before we're buying craft supplies, new craft supplies. When it comes to buying things, I typically go into a shop and then I get all excited about a new craft supply and I buy it, and it sits in my room for probably sometimes even years before it gets used. This happens all the time, and it kind of ties into number 2 of using craft supplies I already have. So by buying less and maybe doing a little bit more research on the things that I might want to buy, hopefully that will help me reduce the amount of things that I have in this teeny tiny little room of mine. And then we have number 7. And number 7 is to try new things. Because I have this YouTube channel, it allows me to try lots of new things all the time, but I tend to get very stuck and sheltered into what I know and what I have already done before. So by trying new things, I can give you guys some better idea of things that you might be able to do or you might want to do. I can learn new techniques that'll help me not only on my videos, but also in my crafting, and help to give you guys a much more rounded education. That's the way that I like to think of it. So I am looking for some new things to try. So if you have an idea of something new that you would like to see me do, leave a comment down below and I will read all of them. I try and read and reply to every single comment on my channel. At this point, I still can, because my channel is still quite small. And it's a lot of fun and great having you as part of my community. Very excited to see what 2023 has in store for us all. So don't forget to subscribe for all of the fun videos that I have coming up. I will see you in the next one. And remember, be kind to someone today. See you soon.